Hi, friends and fellow Earth Angels. It's Gladys, and welcome back to another one of my weekly Sunday card readings. And this spread will start by covering June 6th to the 12th, or whenever you're guided to watch, as I always intend these to be timeless readings. So welcome. So I have a unique reading planned for today with the Archangel Gabriel. So the Archangel Gabriel is the angel of communication. Gabriel is the visionary. He helps us with vision. If you are more of a clairvoyant being, meaning imagery and sight, and you can see things in your mind, maybe it's pictures, symbols, imagery, and even being able to see things in the world, being able to see the unseen. The energy is usually connected to clairvoyance. So Gabriel helps us with vision and acceptance of that vision. So third eye work. And personally, I've been doing some work on myself with the inquiry question, excuse me, who am I? Hence the cough and clearing out the throat, right? Who am I? Who am I outside of beliefs, outside of attachments, outside of roles that I play in society? Who am I? And so I'm finding that through the work of transformation and change that so many earth angels are going through on this planet. You know, I know change can be very uncomfortable. It can activate uncertainty, you know, and I know I've talked before about how earth angels really have a need for certainty, right? Security, stability, comfort, warmth, these very stabling to see and be seen, to know and be known. You know, we have certainty needs because, you know, a lot of times earth angels have a lot of uncertainty or grew up with unstable home lives, let's say. So knowing that, and then coming into a year and also an energy with the astrology is right now with so much uncertainty can activate fears, right? It can activate judgments and projections and what if, how, when. It can freeze us from taking action and moving forward, right? Especially on our own journey. What's the point of this? Why am I going through this? And so I chose Archangel Gabriel this week to support you with a purposeful life. Now remember, we're here on this planet to reintegrate the energy of true love back on the planet. In that, it starts with the self-love and self-acceptance of the self. We're exactly where we're supposed to be, right? And sometimes based on our belief systems and the discord with our values and attachments to things, right? Because those attachments to those things give us a sense of self-identity. It can create a lot of confusion in a world that's changing so rapidly right now. So my intention for this reading is to give you some support and some guidance in your purposeful life, which ultimately is to be of service, right? To give and receive love without attachment, without expectation, without giving to get, right? Where I keep seeing that 8 infinity energy, right? From the standpoint that we are energetically abundant beings. And as we give, we receive back learning, education, information that helps us evolve and grow. So Gabriel, I have interpreted, or I've known Gabriel to be connected to the color copper or orange. And Gabriel sends pennies, and on a penny it says, "In God we trust." So as you're going through this metamorphosis and this change, again, this could be inner work, inner healing, your physical environment could be changing, your work environment, the world at large. Like I said, it can activate instability within us. And so when you see those pennies, or, you know, you have orange or that copper color, right? Orange is connected to the sacral chakra, which is again about our joy. It's also connected to purpose, feeling alive, feeling connected, but it also in the shadow can be connected to addictive tendencies, right? So when we see those pennies pop up, it's Gabriel reminding us that he's present with us and in God we trust, right? On a penny, it clearly states in God we trust. So you're being reminded in that moment that you're not alone. And remember, the universe and the divine and all holy beings of light are ethical. They will not and do not intervene with your free will, right? That's the gift that we have here. So this is why prayer and being open and asking for guidance and assistance regularly is so important and powerful. So I also, I don't know if you can see it, have my stone here of peace. And when I was connecting with Angel Gabriel before I started, I kept hearing the words, peace be with you, peace be with you, peace be with you. And I think it's such a grounding and just me being able to have a peace stone, I think is so fitting because the words peace be with you can be very stabilizing. If you can imagine just this symbol alone, just this symbol, the stone, the symbol, the color, the word in your sacral chakra, your root chakra, almost kind of like grounding you. Peace be with you as the divine showers you with that stability, right? That groundedness. So as the weather storms of emotions or the world that we're living in right now, our roots grow deeper, right? So the words peace be with you, peace in general is meant to be a stabilizer for you, right, for this week. So that might also be a word that comes up for you. The cards I'll be using to support Gabriel's message. First, these are the decks I'll be using. I don't know how many of these decks are actually available anymore, but if you have these decks, definitely go into the books and look at further into the meanings of these cards that come up. So I will then be pulling a card from the Life Purpose Oracle cards, an action card from the Angel Therapy Oracle cards, and then a prayer for you from Gabriel, and then I'll finish with an overall message from the Divine Abundance deck. Okay, I think I said everything I wanted to say. So let me open up space. Let me invite in all your guardian angels and guides, the archangels, the ascended masters, the divine mother and father, and all their holy beings of light who would like to assist with this guidance for you this week. And I'm going to ask that the messages that come through be for your best and highest good and the best and highest good of all concerned. Again, connecting my heart with the heart of the Archangel Gabriel, the angel of communication, the angel that helps us to speak our truth, understand our worth and our value. He also assists us knowing that we're good enough and exactly where we are is exactly what we need to move forward in life. And we are perfectly imperfect, exactly as we are in this moment. All right, Gabriel, what message would you like to start off with this week for the Earth Angels? What's the most important message they need to hear, see, feel, and know? Okay. That one too. Oh, as I see. Vulnerability. Oh boy. Yes, this is a tough one for Earth Angels, right? This on some level exposes us, and it's so perfectly suited with communication because we have to express how you feel, right, in the world, especially when it comes with understanding and knowing who you are, what your needs are, what your boundaries are, right, your place in the world, where you fit or where you don't fit, and that being okay. Really embracing your independence, right? So the message says, listen to your vulnerable feelings, as they contain wisdom and inspiration, and then pray for strength to focus on your priorities no matter what. So I'm also feeling being vulnerable with the divine. Maybe it's the God goddess, maybe it's the yin yang, Shiva Shakti, masculine feminine, God source creator of the universe, unconditional love vibration. Remember, it's a feeling and a way of life as opposed to connected to any philosophy or religion, let's say. It's kind of the approach that I come from to appeal to all backgrounds in a more simplified way. So, vulnerability, even being vulnerable with the divine. So, personally, I've been having these struggles with certain types of attachments and belief systems. And I've been practicing non-clinging to things, experiences, and having to dissect, know, and control everything in my life. So this is me being vulnerable, right? And I understand that this is a huge part of my spiritual growth, and I understand how I navigate through this is how I learn, and then how I share with others in the work that I do. So I've had to come clean with God and basically say, I'm afraid to let this go. I'm afraid if I'm not actively inserting my energy into this, and again, this goes along with everything that I share with you and support, right? And giving, doing something to get something, right? And I share these messages because it's what I've learned in my own wisdom and what I've channeled and what I've experienced, right? And the universe is using the knowledge that I have to expand on what it knows, right? To share deeper levels of wisdom and insight to support you on your journey. So, being able to say to God, I am afraid. I'm afraid to trust you in this area of my life, even though I have evidence that I can 1,000 bajillion cajillion faith to trust you in every area of my life, and I have done that on this one particular thing. If I surrender it to you, it may not happen. And I feel super out of control, and I feel scared, and it goes into the abyss of the unknown, and it is too uncertain and unstable for me. And so I've been praying, these last weeks and months for guidance and an understanding and an why am I like this? Why does my brain think like this? What is this control, right? This is me being in my full humanness. This is me really immersed in the experience that I am on this 3D planet that we exist on, right? While also embracing my full divineness, right? And through this dance of, let's say, subconscious, conscious, or, ego and soul, right? Through this dance, I'm evolving at a very fast rate. But still, I can't control what I want to control, right? So this is a part of being vulnerable, is being able to recognize these things about you, and it requires a level of detaching from the external world, right? What other people are doing, what they're saying, how they're feeling, and being able to take some time to pause to go within yourself and do some self-discovery, which is why I always say the really phenomenal inquiry question to the divine in meditation is, who am I? And then you listen. I mean, in its simplest form, you are love. And from that place, what do we do with it? Right? So the universe is saying this might be the week, or Archangel Gabriel is saying this might be the week to really get vulnerable, to really open up. Also, too, if you have relationships in your life that you're having a hard time processing, or there's areas that, let's say there are challenging people, I call them shadow teachers in your life, and they're the best people in your life. They're the best absolute possible people in your life because they're going to squeeze you to grow. And and again, the ego doesn't like that, right? So we project that you're making me feel this way, when it really is a reflection back to something that might be repressed or unrevealed, or might be a part of us that we're not owning, right? In some way. And so sometimes to sit down and get vulnerable with somebody. Now, not everybody is a safe space or a safe person to be vulnerable with. There are definitely energies out there that will manipulate, that will control, that would abuse that power, right? So, this is a really great week for you to kind of dig into saying, okay, where can I be vulnerable? And 1,000 bajillion percent, you can always be vulnerable with God, right? With the divine. And Archangel Michael, because here he comes, I hear the sirens. Help is on the way, you're not alone, right? So where can you expose the mask? Where can you put down the mask, right? So many of us feel we have to look, be, do, experience things in a certain way in order to be socially accepted. And so where can you, in a safe space, release the mask, right? I've had to really face my own mask. Like, I remember just leaving an experience and getting in my car, and I'm like, I don't want to be that person anymore. I don't want to be that woman. Like, gosh, what am I doing here, right? And so, that was that part of me being vulnerable and really owning those parts of change and being fully immersed in the experience. So being vulnerable is a way of saying, this is who I am. This is how I feel right now, right? And so, another need of earth angels is comfort needs. What's the word? Connection needs. That's what it is. So certainty needs and connection needs, right? And if we don't have that connection with ourselves, which is like affection, giving ourselves attention, allowing experiences, right? When we're not immersed in that within ourselves, we're going to go outside of ourselves. So I just feel like I feel like this week is a really great and powerful week for you to really get vulnerable with yourself, right? And really kind of exposing that mask. Like, where are you pretending, or where are you the most fearful, right? Usually our judgments, for example, our judgments of ourselves is where we need self-acceptance the most, right? So a real clear-cut example is, our physical body sometimes. Earth angels, have, most people have an area on their body that they judge or they want to make better, right? And in turn, that is the part of us that needs self-acceptance the most, right? Maybe it's your physical body. Maybe it's a beauty mark, or maybe it is a certain way, your body is, or your face is. And I'm using this as like a very base example, but there's so many other examples of where we self-judge and where we need to self-accept the most, right? So when I am critical of my own body, it's reflecting back or showing me that's where I need to do the work the most, is the self-acceptance of my body and the way it is and who I am and my culture and my parents and, their energies that made me the way that I am, right? And so when you can look at it from that perspective, you're now taking down the mask, right? And, in this world, it's a way of safety and to keep us safe, but behind closed doors or in your own space, in your own healing space, this is where we need to kind of lay the mask down with God, right? This is a week to kind of expose ourselves in a safe way. Wow. Okay, so let me get into the next message. Allow yourself to receive, right? So when we're vulnerable and when we open up and saying, wow, I really feel this way, or this is something that really makes me uncomfortable, or this is something I didn't know about myself. And when we can really be honest, then we can also be open to support and love back, right? So it says, open your arms to welcome the blessing. To welcome the blessings and answered prayers that God is sending to you. Now, I feel like this is totally divine this week. This is getting vulnerable with ourselves and God, the divine creator, and then allowing ourselves to receive back love, attention, support, feedback, guidance, leads, nuggets of information to support you, right? It almost feels like the universe is calling you back to the heart, right? The divine heart, and being able to go within for answers and guidance and getting to love yourself on deeper levels, right? Allowing yourself to receive the love, the guidance, the support that the universe sends you without having to do anything. Right? So many times, especially in the manifesting community, there can be a lot of confusion about manifesting. Like, oh, if I do these things, then I'm going to get this thing with this either specific person or specific experience, and we attach to an outcome, right? And we're in a space right now where we're learning to kind of open up to our feelings. Like, this feels good, more of this or something even better. When I look around at my apartment and the space that I'm living in, what I envisioned before I found this space is nothing like what I have now. And I really designed and created everything that's in my space from a place of love. And it probably took me a whole year for my space to be complete. I mean, mostly because I moved in and everything shut down and there was no furniture stores open and I was in an empty apartment for a long time. But it gave me space to really sit with the energy of the space and saying what feels like it will fit. And one thing led to another, led to another, led to another. And this is kind of the dance we do with the universe, right? So often we want things now. We want things fast, right? And when we can accept things as they are, as learning and informational, without attaching it to it's got to be this specific person or it's got to be this specific company or this specific salary, right? When we release that and are open to receive something even better from the divine, you'll be amazed how much more easier life is, how much more fulfilling, how much more satiating, right? How much more satisfied we are, and how much more that gives us a zest and a passion for life, right? So where can you be vulnerable with the divine and saying, God, I'm afraid to let the control go of this, and I'm scared and I'm confused. Sometimes I'll just go to bed at night and I'm like, God, I need some help. I'm in a hole here and I don't know what I'm doing. And then the next morning and throughout that day, an answer always comes and guidance always comes. And I don't even really remember until oh my God, I look back and I reflect and I'm like, oh, I asked and I received, certainly, right? Because in those moments when I ask, I'm like, I don't know what you're going to do about that. And I ain't even going to get involved in it. And I'm just going to trust that you're going to do it for me and figure it out. And it always works. It's like this harmony and this dance that we're in, this humanness that we're in, and this divine that we're in, and this deep, deep, deep shadow work and inner work that we're going through. And then it's also transforming the energy of the planet. And it is powerful, but I'm not going to lie, I've had a few dark days, really dark. But that was the part of me not going to addictive tendencies and diving into TV or food or materialism, and really kind of going into my own feelings and just exploring them, right? Instead of judging them and saying, oh, I shouldn't think this way, and I'm this age, and I've come this far, and this is who I am, I shouldn't be doing this and that. Once I kicked those out and slammed the door and locked it, I said, listen, you don't belong here anymore, you gotta go. I could go into that space of openness and acceptance and saying, okay, from here, how can I open up to receive support and guidance and love in fierce self-acceptance, in a non-judgmental, non-clinging way of where I am right now, and release the attachment to my experience that I'm having should look any other way than what it does. Well then, now that was something. All right, so let's go into, what do I want to do next? Okay, so because of this vulnerability and allow yourself to receive, these are the life purpose cards. So, Gabriel, what do you want to offer if we're here to give love to the world, to ourselves first, and then share that abundance of love with the planet? What do you want the earth angels to know about their purposeful life? What do you want to know that will best support them? Ooh, yoga. So your life is enhanced by yoga, stretching, and exercise. So this could be physical, literal, for some of you. So, vulnerability, allowing yourself to receive. Some of you, if you have had a yoga practice in the past and it was a place for you to get vulnerable, to really, again, that space of self-acceptance in a non-judgmental way. I think that's one of the most phenomenal things that I love about yoga. It really teaches you about non-judgment and acceptance of where you're at, how far you can stretch, the position that you're in. And then, I absolutely love yin yoga because it gives us space and pause in the positions to really sit with it, to breathe through it, to release resistance, right? And judgments. It's kind of one of my favorite things. And I'm a novice. I'm not even a novice in yoga. So this is my interpretation. But if there are yoga teachers that are watching this, I'm sure you have a much deeper and more in-depth interpretation with your practice. So as I'm channeling this, I'm seeing that you may be this week being called back to yoga, right? To be able to get back into these spaces, right? Being able to receive the gift of the breath, being able to receive the gift and gratitude for your body, right? Your body's the only place that you have to live. And again, if we're really struggling with self-acceptance and body love, that is the base, my friends. We really, because our body is our vehicle, it's our vessel, it's what gets us everywhere. And so often we live so far outside of our physical body, which we're not present, right? And this is where pain gets activated and we make decisions with food choices that are going to activate inflammation and more pain. And again, this is not to shame. It's our body is always teaching us. Our body is always letting us know. Our physical bodies are always letting us know where we're at, right? We got to swing too far this way or swing too far back. So in the literal sense, your life is enhanced by yoga, stretching, and exercise. Again, and there's no coincidence with the chakras here, connecting with the crown chakra. So this might be something for you to go back to get back into alignment with yourself. And so also to take this a little bit deeper, if yoga isn't your thing, for me, I also connect yoga with flexibility. And so if you are feeling rigid, sometimes as I'm vulnerable and share, I can be rigid and trying to control things and scared, right? If I'm not controlling it or if my mind isn't in it, God's going to forget about me and forget that I want this thing, right? And so I have to be mindful of being flexible, and I have to be open to the many different ways I can have this experience, and not necessarily just on that specific thing, right? The rigidity of that specific thing. Oh, those sirens. I'll tell you, friends, I've been sitting here all morning. I'm channeling this in the afternoon, and I've been sitting here all morning. I have not heard one siren. Not one. I get on here and they're like nonstop. So Michael is present. Again, he's the guardian of the light, and he's helping us also to move through fears, right? Be courageous, move through worries, fears, and doubts. And so getting back to the message about flexibility, right? I remember I was a crew member at a Tony Robbins event, Unleash the Power Within. And I was on the crew team, meaning like doing like the work, like the volunteer work. And so I had access to all parts of the event, which was, oh my God, it was one of the best experiences. But anyway, one of the things and there was a lot of leadership training, like when the teachers and Tony was out in the stadium, there was really not a lot for us to do because everybody was immersed in the education that they were getting. We had leadership training behind the scenes with some of Tony's senior leaders, let's say. And so one of the things, we had to show up at like 5 a.m. Sometimes it was like 4:30 in the morning, and we would get these trainings. And one of the first things, I'll never forget this, the guy that was there, he was so energetic, he was so vibrant, he was so stressed out, but he managed it so well. He was so hyper. It kind of reminded me of me in a sense. And he said, one of the things that I need you to remember, because you're going to have a long 5 days or however many it was, he goes, flexibility is fun. And it hit me in that moment because I do have a tendency to be rigid and controlling, and my life is my own and it's all based on me and all this nonsense I tell myself. and flexibility is fun. And he said he took out the calendar of the schedule for the day, and the day hadn't even started yet. And he said, it's not even 5 o'clock yet, and we're already off schedule. Period. So he said, and I really think he was telling himself flexibility is fun. I think it's something he needed to hear himself because I don't think he completely believed it, but it was a phenomenal guidance. And so I'm going to share that with you, especially when this yoga card comes up, right? And maybe we have a rigidity of the way things are supposed to look, or the way people are supposed to act, or the type of support we need from certain people, or where we should be on our journey, right? Remembering that flexibility is fun. If this is not working out this way, let's be flexible. And you know, the universe is all about flow, right? The divine feminine is all about flow. When we talk about law of attraction, it's like, where are we, and calling on the Holy Spirit, it's like, where are we being guided? Where are the signs? What are we open to receiving? And it's all us being flexible and being present in the moment. So sometimes when our lives, especially with all this 5 energy and this transformation energy that we're in this year, we can feel out of control. And I feel like Gabriel is reminding you that you have this powerful force that already knows the 10 steps ahead of you. And all we have to do is be open to receive and listen and trust. And therein lies our work as humans, right? There's our human work. And just as a baby's learning, you know, when they spill their cup, when they're learning to drink, or, you know, they're learning to eat and their hands are in the food and they're messy all over the place, the parent loves them probably even more so when they're so messy, because that's how they learn. But sometimes we can judge our messiness, right? And then just not get our hands messy, not you know, try, right? And so, you know, we're the type of Earth Angels are the type of people who are very particular for the most part when we like to be clean in certain areas, right? Or neat and orderly, because it reflects the, you know, the ever-changing vibration that's going on inside. So when you can look at your messiness, let's say, in a non-judgmental way, if you can look at your, you know, I just keep seeing an image of a baby eating blueberries and they're like shoving the blueberries in their mouth and their hands are purple and messy and things are stained, and, you know, the parent, you know, the healthy parent is like, that's how they learn. They've got to have these experiences. They've got to squish it, and they're going to either like it or they're not. They're going to keep themselves clean or they're not, right? But it's all learning. When, you know, they spill their cup because they're learning how to drink, we give them support. We give them, there's an understanding of the mess. And so divine sees this for you, and we can make judgments like, oh, I should be better and I should be doing this and that. And, you know, we can look at the divine in a conditional way. If I don't do this, I'm going to be punished, and God's not going to like me, and karma and all that stuff. And so, you know, the universe here wants to remind you that it's all grist for the mill. It's all learning. It's all flexibility and flow, right? So that's what I'm going to say about that. All right. So what actions can you take to support your journey this week? Gabriel, what actions can the Earth Angels take this week to support their journey? I'm seeing so much gold here, right? Gold is so precious. I feel like, before I go any further, the gold, you know, we got the gold shining up here. We've got the gold in the peace sign, the gold in the candle. It's no coincidence that this all comes together, the gold in the hands. I feel like the divine wants to remind you, especially Archangel Gabriel, because that's who we're working about, you are as precious as gold, right? You are as precious as what we interpret it as valuable on this planet, right? Gold is a precious energy, right? And it's and if, you know, if I'm correct, it's one of the most sustaining, and it's the hardest, let's say. I think this is why, you know, originally in wedding rings were gold, because the interpretation was gold was the most durable. It was the most precious stone that would withstand, our hands and all they go through. So understand that, you are to the divine as precious as gold. And I think one of their messages, or I feel like one of their messages, that's that you got to remind yourself or remember that you are so precious and so valuable and so important, and you matter, and you're good enough, and the divine sees you as this. And I think so many of you, myself included, are doing this deep inner work to heal these wounds. It could be the rejection wounds, the not good enough wounds, the abandonment wounds, right? All these insecurities, things that are coming up that have disempowered you based on culture, upbringing, societal beliefs. We're really transforming this and individualizing, especially earth angels. They can be so fiercely independent from the norm, right? Sometimes we can interpret that as rebellious, and I think that's like, a beautiful energy, but yet we struggle with the people pleasing and conforming and fitting in and being nice. And, it served a purpose and a point in time to keep us safe, but it's an illusion. We can keep our own self safe. So I think that's another message that I wanted to share, is remind you about how precious you are. Precious as gold. All right, Gabriel, what do you want to say? What actions can they take to support their healing this week? Ooh, okay. Oh, I love it. Ascended Masters. So in this, I'm getting, there is no action. Call on the divine for assistance. Allow yourself to receive from the masters, right? It says powerful, loving, and wise spiritual teachers are watching over and guiding you. I believe this is Yogananda here, and we have yoga. So there may be some of you, and remember, this is a general reading, so there's fragments of information that are going to touch your heart. Take in what resonates and leave the rest for somebody else. But again, I think this was the call back to like flexibility, right? So of course that teacher is here. And understand too that this is your I am presence. This is how the divine sees you, right? You are the being, the human on this planet. Let me see here. You are the human on this planet. This is kind of like, if you can imagine, this is your temple of light, and all the masters and all the guides, your higher self, the Holy Spirit, all exists in your I am presence, right? And when we have feelings, the vibe goes up and it radiates out, right? If we have feelings of confusion or being scared, that energy goes up. It's like a silver cord that connects your heart to the heart of your soul and the essence of all that is, right? That vibration goes up and you send out like a signal. And then the masters, when we're open, when we're praying, when we're open and we're receptive, the master, whether you know it or not, it's okay if you know their name or not know their name. All you have to do is be open to receiving from that highest place of love. That energy then flows through your soul, down into your higher self, down into your physical body, and downloads you with information and guidance to support you on your journey. There's a lot of conscious, unconscious stuff coming up. There's a lot of shadow work. There's a lot of deep inner healing that's happening right now, especially with all these planets retrograde. I believe Jupiter and Neptune are going retrograde sometime soon too. I think we're in the midst of that. So there's a lot of reflection. There's a lot of like kind of going within, especially with Mercury retrograde, right? Of course, I pulled Gabriel with Mercury retrograde and helping us with communication and speaking our truth. But before we do that with others, we have to know ourselves. We have to be able to communicate with ourselves and the divine. And from that place, we share what we need with others from a place of love. So the action this week is non-action. And in a way, it's an openness to receive support from the divine, to receive guidance, and really learning what that is to you, really getting back into the heart map, right? Or the internal intuitive compass, right? Getting to really know yourself and what divine guidance is and feels like to you, right? It's not the expectation of what you want, but it's more of how it's coming. So often, I work, of course, there's more sirens. Of course, so I do a lot of mediumship work. And I work with a lot of clients who haven't necessarily had experiences with mediumship before. So my specialty has always been working with newbies. I love people, who come in who've never had the experience before and they're open it to, because, really those are usually the most profound, the most impactful, the most powerful. Not that all my readings aren't, but it always is fascinating to see a person awaken and feel alive with, receiving guidance and messages from their loved ones for the first time. It's such a gift to be a witness to it. Anyway, what was I, oh God, what was I bringing that up for? Oh, this Mercury retrograde. Oh yeah, so Mercury retrograde, communication, readings. Oh yeah, so the message that I was getting is, a lot of times the newbies who are just opening to this are expecting signs to come from in a certain way from their loved ones. They're maybe saying, I used to dream in the beginning and I'm not getting dreams from them anymore. Are they around me? Are they there anymore? There's this expectation, or my loved ones are having dreams of my parent or my spouse or whomever it is, and I'm not. Like, what does that mean, right? And so sometimes we can get fixated that an experience has to be a certain way because that's the way it's happening for others and that's the only way. But when we can detach from and open to the possibility that there are other ways, which is part of the work that I do, is being able to plant some seeds of other ways that the guidance can come in, then almost immediately after the sessions, they start getting that connection and they feel it again, right? Our loved ones are never not there. The energy is always there. It's how we close the doors, right? With our expectations and our attachments and our judgments on the experience based on our knowledge and what other people know or what they don't know or what they've experienced, right? So we're being guided to really go within and create our own experiences based on the wisdom that's being downloaded within us. And I feel like this week, the Ascended Masters are encouraging you to work with them, right? There's so many divine beings out there. And this is why I always say, I call on the Divine Mother and the Divine Father and all their holy beings of light who would like to assist. And this embodies and encompasses so many vibrational beings, right? So maybe you'll get a book that'll come along your way, or maybe a guide will show up in your life. And I cannot speak enough to being present with how you're feeling, what your needs are, really getting in touch with those things. Again, being flexible, being open, being connected. These are all faster ways to have so much more pleasant experiences in a multitude of ways. Wow, this reading was way deeper than I thought it was going to be. Interesting. It's good, but also too, it can be a lot to unpack. All right, so let me see here. So now I have Ganesh, remover of obstacles. But my intention for this deck is a prayer for you. What prayer? Gabriel, what prayer can assist the earth angels watching on their journey this week? What prayer do you have for them? It's the most important message they need to hear, see, feel, and know. Okay, I will go with that. Work. Ooh, it says, I'm now available to receive. I mean, period. Allow yourself to receive. I'm now available to receive. Perfect. I'm now available to receive all who can benefit from my work. Again, as we're talking about a purposeful reading here. Use me to relieve suffering on the planet. May all who need me find me. The divine is my complete source for all prosperity and will provide. I love this. So this channel and the work that I'm doing is a perfect example of this, right? So this is my prayer and the work that I'm doing. For me, this experience isn't about numbers and popularity. It's about how I can reach more people with the information that I know is powerful and loving and supportive in a way that people need it. And so people will be drawn to my experience. And then they'll go and they'll come and they'll go, right? And so this is the energy of the Earth Angel way. When we attach to a certain outcome or things have to be a certain experience, we can kind of throw our energy in with it. And that's how things kind of come out of alignment. So your work, and it doesn't have to be for money, right? It doesn't have to be to get something back, but your work is how you're in service, right? You are a child of the Most High God, and you're here on this planet to be of service, to share love and support and wisdom and guidance in the way that you're going to God's people and those who are suffering or struggling, right? You are now here to be the example, right? I can overcome this and I can do this. And this is how I've worked on my healing journey. And it's so powerful. Again, I'm now available to receive all who can benefit from my work, right? Whatever that is. So some of you, it's about getting into what that definition means, right? If we think of work being work and it's an hourly rate and it's based on something that we hate, we're not going to want to work for God because we've attached it to it's daunting and it's scary and it's labor and it's forcing us to do something. You know, maybe you had to work at a young age. You know, maybe you're in a position right now where you're not happy where you're at, right? So sometimes this is just redefining what work is. You know, for me, my definition is how may I be of service to others? And when they light up, I light up. And it's thrilling and it's exciting and it really gives me this depth of experience, right? And so I love what I do. And as I do, I always ask God, send me clients that I can bless me as well. Send me loving people in my life that I can bless and learn from, and they can bless and learn from me as well. It's equal. It's like I keep seeing the 8, like the infinity number, mutual exchange, right? Mutually supportive people, higher love, ascended love, right? We're now kind of moving into this evolved space, and we're doing that through a mental, emotional, and spiritual healing in ways that our ancestors couldn't before. So some of you, just getting back to the basics of what work means and doing your healing on maybe situations and experiences that were less than ideal in your work environment. I think, you know, most of you who have been following me for any period of time know that before I did this work 13 years ago, you know, longer than that now at this point, I was a paralegal working for a law firm or multiple law firms in Providence. And I was doing real estate, and it was at a really bad time in the economy, and we were doing a lot of closings in a short amount of time, and there was a lot of pressure. And I really, for a lot of years, had to, after that, I had to unpack the drudgery and the trauma. And for me, it was trauma. There was so much uncertainty and instability and so much power loss of freedom. And for me, it was in my spirit. It was traumatic based on the person that I am. It was a really great job for somebody else, but in that pain, I was able to transform it into what I do now. And a lot of the work that I do is I help people with purpose and creating wealth and money and stability and security in their life through the inner work, through the spiritual growth, through understanding the dark night of the soul, through understanding depression and understanding, their own intuition. You know, that's my gift, right? Is being able to see the unseen and support people on their spiritual journey. And so through that, I had to redefine what it felt like to work, right? Because it was like I wanted to work, I loved the work, but the work itself, the word itself, created this disharmony. So what I started saying is I retired at 28. And since then, I've been living my best life. I will be 42 in a few weeks. June is my birthday month. And so I've really kind of embraced this experience. Now I work a lot and I do a lot of things under the umbrella of Heavenly Hugs. But for me, I no longer classify it as work in the traditional sense, like an hourly rate or salary for a service or providing something in some way. For me, it is a way to connect, to evolve, to grow, to experience, to share, to love, right? So some of you in the basics might being asked to redefine what work means to you, right? And you don't know until you know, and then when you know, you do better, right? Sometimes it's hard to move past that work being work because that's all you've known. So sitting with the master and asking them to download you with a new definition or a new vibration of what work is, right? How can you be of service to others? It says, may all who need me find me. It says, the divine is my complete source for all prosperity and will provide, right? So your position that you're in, or however you're creating money for yourself right now, is not necessarily the source of your money. It's how what the divine is using to bring income and money in your life, right? And in most cases, it's kind of a temporary thing, right? People are always evolving and changing positions and growing and, shifting. So we have to understand that, when we're attached to a certain dollar amount or attached to a certain way that money can flow to us, and how we're in service of others, we're actually limiting the supply, right? And so remembering that whatever you're in right now isn't necessarily the source of where your money's coming from. The divine is using that, and that can change, and it can get bigger and grow and expand in so many ways. So I feel like there's a lot of you maybe who are working on limiting beliefs, and you know what you know, and when like you don't know until you know, and then when you know, you do different. I think there's a lot of aha and awarenesses and frustrations and pain and struggle that's coming up right now for us to evolve and grow. So if you can kind of see that, it's not necessarily of a judgment that you're doing it wrong or shaming yourself or blaming yourself. If you can kind of look at it from the angle of, oh, I'm experiencing this and I don't like this, God and divine or Archangel Gabriel, how can I shift this? Like, if you have a better way, show me, right? More of this or something even better when it starts to show up. All right, and so finally, the final message here is from abundance. Okay, this all being said, what message of abundance does Gabriel have for you? What's the overall message for you this week? Overall message. Do you need to hear, see, feel, and know? Just going to ask it nice and clear. Signs. Oh, yes. Again, we have this position, right? Telling you flexibility, flow. So the message here says instincts are the message from the inner divine. Follow the leads, right? When we're connected here, when we put the mask down, when we're no longer pretending, and we're vulnerable with God, and we're sharing all, our fears, and we're just owning all our stuff in a loving way, we then open to receive the guidance from the ascended masters. We're open to flexibility, work, in the way we're in service to this planet in a different way. Remember, a lot of what we're experiencing is not anything we've experienced before, because the energy we have now on this planet isn't anything that because we have so many people that are waking up. We have so many people who are conscious now, who are aware of signs, who are aware of their own inner compass and intuition. We have such a vibration awakening on this planet that we're being flooded with so much information, really, that's just kind of being recycled over and over again. And the universe and the divine is encouraging you to kind of go within and seek your own guidance, right? Your own wisdom, your own support. I mean, we can certainly get inspiration from people, but understand that you have your own unique way. You have your own unique voice. You have your own unique self-expression. You have your own unique identity that makes you who you are. If you think about the public figures in this world who are, what's the word? I want to say famous, but that's not what I mean. The public speakers of the world, let's say. I don't really want to, put names out there, but those that are public speakers, in this world, they're on a platform, in a sense, And people resonate with them because of their uniqueness, because of the way they deliver their message, because of their approach. And then there are other, like, different tiers of those public speakers and communicators that are a little of all those things. And sometimes it's like, well, who are they? What's their identity, right? And that is actually just an example of them discovering their authentic self publicly. They're changing, evolving, and they're into this and they're into that. And that's all beautiful and wonderful, because that is a reflection of what it looks like to evolve, to shift, to get to understand who am I, to get to that nitty gritty is by having experiences, right? And like I said, in a public platform, you share that and make mistakes and, make changes. And, that's what it looks like when we're doing it on our own. So again, they're perfect teachers. So you're now getting into the space of like, who am I and what are my unique gifts? What are my approaches, right? This is a big reason why I kind of, this month of May and now it's going into June, I've kind of just kind of gone within and kind of, I don't know how I describe it. I've kind of gone into my cave and really going into prayer and meditation and kind of detached from the world in a sense of influence and going within seeking inspiration from my own guides and my own inner wisdom, right? And so I'm evolving, right? And so, with that, I'm not under influence, let's say. And so I'm getting to the heart of the essence of who I am and my authentic self, my approach and what I like and what I want to do more of in this kind of cocoon of a space that I'm in. And it's a stage that I'm in my life that was so very needed for a long time, right? And in that essence, I need to follow the signs, right? I need to follow the leads. One thing will lead to another. And, I receive information or a YouTube video or a book will come along the way, or, a guide or a teacher, something will pop up, or I'll have an experience with somebody that will just add to that information. So it's a very personal experience. And I feel like a lot of you are having 3D experiences that are activating this within you, and how you move through it is your own personal experience. And I mean, I feel like my big message is here is move through it in a non-judgmental, non-attached, non-clinging way. The glass walls of the ego, right, are being shattered. The glass ceilings are being shattered, right? And now we're expanding into a vibration that was really unknown. And you're going to really need your basics, right, to know what is divine guidance, inspiration, and what is influence, right? And that requires a level of solidarity, a soul journey. Soul as in singular and soul as in, higher self. That doesn't mean you have to do it by yourself on your own. The divine is telling you here, call on the masters, right? And when you do that, they will send you people, mutually supportive people in your life that you can connect with, that will support you and love you on your journey, and encourage you, right? Those are the connection needs without their influence, let's say. Well then. And again, this is purple. This is like third eye here. And the signs, is being able to see the unseen. All fun stuff. So that was fun to channel. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here. I'm really loving this work. I'm loving how this is unfolding. Thank you for sharing me with your loved ones. Thank you for sharing me with your friends. Again, the biggest compliment is when I get on the call with somebody and it's a referral from somebody else who had a really great experience, and it really lights me up, and it's such a treasure. It's such a gift. So thank you for just being part of, my experience, right? Which is a part of your experience. And this is what makes us feel more connected, right? Feel more stable in our instability and our growth that we're going through right now. So let me close space by thanking all your guardian angels and guides, the archangels, the ascended masters, the divine mother and father, and all their holy beings of light that assisted with this guidance for you today. And I'm going to ask, especially Archangel Gabriel, and I'm going to ask Gabriel to send you pennies, and, if you need to communicate or, have a come to Jesus session with yourself, wear copper, wear orange, do some sacral chakra work, right? Keep some pennies around, pick up those pennies, put them in your pocket. And I'm going to ask that any healing that was started today continue for as long as it needs to be done. And so it is. And those are your messages for this week. Again, thank you so much for watching. If I can support you in any way, my information about who I am and how to book an appointment with me and connect is in the notes below. And like I said, if you want to be part of this community, a part of this energy, subscribe, share how you're feeling in comments, if you so wish. And if not, just your energy being here and viewing is I'm grateful for that. So thank you. I love you. God loves you so much. Trust in the divine, trust your intuition, and I send you love with heavenly hugs. Bye for now.